Drummond then it is through into the lead ahead of Jose Serrano. Oh, someone's well off in the back. That's Gallo, who's entered into a different postcode by the looks of things. He fired himself off into the barrier right down the order, and that is pretty much a disaster there for Valerio Gallo, because that's going to give him the mother and father of jobs to do going into that grand final from the back.
Got a real tall task to make that back up, and that can happen down there when you get side by side into the bus stop chicane. Something's got to give. You've got to get single file before you turn in, or you leave yourself at risk of firing off to the outside like he did there.
So Drummond it is that leads, Serrano in second, Inestrosa in third, and that's the thing you can see in this race. One mistake and you are going to be so punished so heavily, because you could lose not only time but also 3, maybe 4 places potentially if you run it a little bit wide in a certain corner, or you make a mistake and you end up firing off into the barrier like Valerio Gallo. It can get even worse than that, to be honest with you.
Right, and now as they go through here to the second final corner and into the final corner, you want to make sure you get the best run you can out of here to not leave yourself vulnerable into turn 1. And we saw earlier, if you go to the inside, you run the risk of getting a bad exit. That leads onto the long back straightaway, which is basically through the S's flat out, and therefore you're giving up loads of time if you go to the inside here and don't complete the pass.
Inestrosa was having a look to the inside there of Jose Serrano down to the first corner. Nothing doing for him on that occasion, but Drummond now is in the lead of this one, and you wonder if he will be able to pull out an advantage, but it's so difficult to do so. As you can see, it's just a couple of tenths in front of Jose Serrano. Serrano looking to try and attack as they come in towards the bus stop, which you can make a move through there, but it's not the easiest part of the circuit to do so. You can see it's very tight, very narrow in particular, and you have to ride a lot of curbs. If you make a bit of a meal of it, you'll see what happened to Valerio Gallo, where you end up facing the scenery. Let's have a look at what happened then. So we're here with Kyle Brunza. He made a bit of a mistake in the first couple of corners.
Got a little wide there on the X of the S's, and once you do that, it leaves you completely vulnerable down here. He gets overtaken by 3 cars from that mistake, because that's basically a straightaway. When you leave turn 1 all the way to the bus stop, you've got to treat it like a straightaway. Any check up in your speed, you're going to pay the price.
Jose Serrano was threading the eye of a needle through there. He's going to try and get 2 places for the price of 1. Meanwhile, Jura here versus Kyle Brunza. They're banging fair sort of bodywork there as they come through the right-hander, and side by side they sit still between the two of them. De Bruyne's lost 4 places from where he started. He was on pole position, if you remember, and he's on a trajectory that's seeing him go backwards in this race. He tries to retaliate on the attack against Pole Jura, but that might leave him vulnerable to the charge of Sasaki and Miyazono, who are right in his wheel tracks here.
That was very messy in some respects, but Pole Jura was able to make it work to his advantage. He got very loose there out of 8, then towards 9 was able to gather up, was played defensive and held on to the spot as they head down to turn 1.
Yeah, through that first corner we go. Lap 5 out of 13. Still plenty of time left in this race for the complexion of it to change. Angel Inestrosa kept his powder pretty dry over the course of the first portion of this race for now. And you can see as we make our way through this right-hander, I just had a look at the tyre usage requirement, and we are actually going to require a pit stop in this race, so that's a bit of a unique thing.
But you don't need to change a set of tires. You can, but it adds 6 seconds to the pit stop essentially, so it's a mandatory pit stop, but you don't have to change tires.
Right, interesting. So that's going to make things particularly exciting, one would imagine there, because say if you don't change your tyres, then obviously you're going to gain a bit of time in terms of track position then, in theory. Let's have a look at what happened to Valerio Gallo while we're figuring all that out. He just got a bit too much curve. Yeah, a bit too much curve on the inside, and that just sent him straight to the scene of the crash, basically, on the barrier. So an unforced error for Valerio Gallo there, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll see how the strategy for the pits is going to work out for this one, as Kylian Drummond has got Jose Serrano and Angel Inestrosa still very close for company behind. But I have to say, they're being all pretty well behaved at this point.
Yeah, but Serrano keeps looking to the inside, occasionally down into turn 1, just sort of peeking that nose out a little bit. Once again, sending a message. We saw this in the Manufacturers' Cup earlier tonight. Drivers who are just trying to show that, hey, I'm here, I can make this move if I want to, but I'm choosing not to at this time. We're almost working together to try and maximize lap time at this time.
Okay, so we have to make 1 pit stop then in this race. It's mandatory, but you don't have to change tyres. Laboutelet's decided to do that at the end of lap 5, the beginning of lap 6. I was just about to ask, how do you decide when to make those pit stops here? And you know, how does your strategy work out? Do you decide to get it out of the way early and hope that you get a bit of clear air? Because if that doesn't work out and you end up right on the back of somebody, it could cost you time and then ultimately cost you the position that you were fighting for pre-pit stop.
I assume some of the mid-pack would probably be the first to pit road for that exact reason, getting to cleaner air, start to rip some really fast lap times, whereas these leaders here who sort of find themselves getting away from the mid-pack are going to utilize this time to feel like they're drafting, they're making up some good lap time at this point, as long as the tires hold on.
Look at Jose Serrano, who's all over the back of Kylian Drummond like a cheap suit here as we come through this left-hander. Just no room for him to use that extra momentum that he's got. And to be honest, I don't think he's particularly that bothered at this point. We're only at the halfway stage now of this race. There's so much time for him to think about where he's going to be making those moves. And you don't want to do anything too rash because it can cost you a lot more than you'd be set to gain.
He got pretty sideways there out of turn 8, so just managing the rear tires. You're starting to see them sort of give out a little bit sort of wear at this point in time. This car really hurts those rear tires for sure, especially out of here, is that you're just putting a lot of energy and stress through that right rear tire. You see Jose Serrano get a little bit sideways as he exit.
That's a shame for Paul Ura. He's picked up a 1-second penalty for colliding with another car. That's going to drop him down behind Brun.
Here we go.
Possibly behind Sasaki. Let's have a look at the battle though for the lead as they all come and filter into the pit lane. I thought that might be the case. It's a case of follow the leader. One blinks, they all blink because they just want to maintain track position. They're sort of forcing their hand really there, aren't they?
Yeah, and you're basically saying, hey, we're all just going to do this in lockstep and now trying to race it out on the racetrack, not trying to use a different strategy at that point and thinking this is probably the fastest time to do this race.
Can Laboutelet and Gallo try and take profit because they pitted a bit earlier on in this one? As you can see, nobody's changing tyres in particular there. As you can see, they're staying on the soft tyres. Not really much point about it. Out of the pit lane we go. Let's have a look at Laboutelet. Where's he emerging? Because he's at racing speed and his tyres, of course, will be up to temperature. They won't have dropped off. So he's now back in the race and he's in 8th position. So it's worked out okay there for Thomas Laboutelet. He's right in the thick of the action. He'll be there ready to try and take profit. Meanwhile, at the sharp end of this one, Serrano versus Drew Rock. We come down towards this chicane. Serrano's got the inside line. He's got track position. And now he's got P2. Lovely stuff.
Really nice pass. That was beautiful down there into the bus stop. Drummond played it correctly. You got to just give and take a little bit down in that corner. Going side by side just slows you up so much, especially at this point in the race. Out of the pits, you just want to try and maximize lap time. You don't want to give anything up.
Yeah, it's worked really nicely here for Angelo Stroza. He's now in the lead of this race by 4 seconds. As you can see, he's got a nice comfortable cushion. He's made his mandatory pit stop and he's cleared off into the distance. Ura's about to serve that 1-second penalty, but given how close the field is out on track, so actually the drivers did change tyres in that one. I wonder whether they would or they wouldn't. So Inestrosa, that's why he's now in the lead.
The only one.
Yeah, he's the only one who didn't change the tyres, and that's going to leave him quite vulnerable, you would imagine, because what, 4 seconds? It's an advantage, but it's not exactly insurmountable.
Let's see if it plays out for them. This is just different strategies that we have seen here before in terms of the Gran Turismo World Series, trying to utilize these different rules to your advantage. We'll see if Jose Serrano's got the speed to start to run him down. Right now, just looking at Inestrosa's tires, they're not terrible considering the amount of laps that he has on them, but it's going to be about maximizing his lap time right now.
On board here with Kiyomiya Zono, P6 for the Japanese driver at the moment, down the start-finish straight and in towards the first turn. Nice and neat and tidy for him. Cardinals just serving, just lost the position there to Valerio Gallo, who's trying to fight back after that earlier trip to the barrier. Euro with that penalty dropped down to 7th position, but he's only about a second or so off, so he's still pretty much within slipstreaming range. If he can put together a couple of clean laps, he might be able to get himself onto the back of Kiyomiya Zono. The win probably is going to be a little bit out of question, but we'll see how it works out for him. Meanwhile, Inestrosa and Serrano, the gap now from 3.7 seconds down to just 3 seconds, so that's only a second or so that the prevailing field have managed to close up over the course of this lap. Might leave Inestrosa, and probably will leave him quite vulnerable at the end of this one.
It's going to come down to Kenny Block. Kenny Block, how's it going to time out? Most likely, just looking at the timing here, they are definitely going to catch him with at least a lap, maybe 2 or so to go.
Paul Ura and Thomas Laboutelet under investigation for a collision there as well. So we'll see how that one has all worked out. They're in 7th and 8th place there, respectively. Ura in front of Laboutelet. So obviously they came to blows at some point out on the circuit over the course of the last lap, and we'll see whether the stewards decide to hit them with a penalty. And
one thing Jose Serrano's liking is behind him as he's gapping there to Drummond a little bit as he continues to increase that gap. That's going to give him options when he catches Inestrosa to have some options and not have to protect at the same time that he's trying to be on offense when he's trying to get by Inestrosa. So as he continues to gap the drivers behind him, that's helping him out. It's hurting Inestrosa. He would hope that they would get to them and be racing each other closely.
Just to give you an idea of the difference in pace, we can see the gaps now come down to 1.6 seconds between Inestrosa and Serrano. Last time around for Inestrosa a 1:31.3, Serrano a 1:29.6. So getting on for near enough 2 seconds faster than the leader. It is a case of when and not if, with 3.5 laps remaining of this one. Inestrosa is going to be a bit of a sitting duck in this race. I mean, he's made 3 positions up from where he qualified, which is great news for him, but you can see how close the field is, and also all the drivers, as we know they're all on fresh soft tyres, so it's now a case of damage limitation here for Angel Inestrosa.
He's running for his life right now. For everything he's got, he's pushing as hard as he can to try and just continue to keep this gap as much as he can. He knows Jose Serrano's going to get there, but the question is, when he does he choose to sort of just let him go and try to maximize the time loss here instead of trying to hold him off and sort of slow him up and allow Drummond and the cars behind to get to him there? That's going to be a choice he's going to have to make and almost time this out when Jose Serrano gets to him.
So then, through the left-hander we go in towards the final couple of corners on this circuit. Serrano sitting there in second position. Inestrosa in the lead of this race, now down to half a second. So Serrano is going to be right on his gearbox through this final corner, and you would imagine planning a move down in towards the first turn as well. On board we ride here with then Jose Serrano. He's got the advantage of the slipstream. He'll have a lot more grip under braking there as well. He doesn't decide to lunge it down into T1. It's a risky one there because you can see it's quite tight and there's a big curve on the outside of it. So you would imagine a good run through these S-bends and in towards the chicane will be where Serrano will try to launch that attack in the slipstream. He's closing up onto the back of Inestrosa, and it's going to be easy pickings here for Jose Serrano as they draw alongside one another into the bus stop chicane. Serrano goes through and into the race lead once again. And that was the best case scenario for Inestrosa there, to have him pass down the straightaway into the bus stop. There's the least amount of time lost going side by side. Now he's going to do his best to try and hold off Drummond. Yeah, I can imagine that is going to be a particularly difficult task, as well as there for Kai de Bruyne, who might be able to try and take profit if Drummond does get held up there behind Inestrosa. He's got the inside line, and look at that, that was decisive and clinical for Drummond. Oh, de Bruyne's walking through. The door's kind of half ajar, and he just said, look, I've got to make as much ground as I can, and he threw it into third position, looking to try and launch that attack there on Drummond into the right-hander, but the door not quite ajar enough for de Bruyne to launch an attack into that next right-hander. Through to the left we go then. Serrano now leads, and all the while they were stuck behind. Inestrosa, who's now dropped down to 5th place, by the way. It's got them a bit of time, and you can see the gap now for Jose Serrano. He's built that up to over a second. Yeah, he was really able to vault away, and they were sort of caught up here as we go on board with Paul Ura. We're going to see the two Japanese drivers, Miyazono and Sasaki, have a bit of a tete-a-tete through the left-hander, I think, and it sends Sasaki into the wall, and Ura takes profit of it and slides himself up into 6th place. He said, thank you very much. Yeah, nice and easily done. Yeah, they're under investigation for one another as well. I should imagine they won't be on each other's Christmas cards list after that one. Cardinal's gone for an interesting 2-stop strategy, but he's having a bit of a dog's day at the office right down at the bottom of the field, so there's no harm in trying a bit of a gamble here in this race. Through the bus stop we go, though, with Gillian Drummond, Kai de Bruyne there in 3rd position, and look at this, Takuma Miyazono right on his back bumper here. And let's see whether the Japanese driver, the 4-time world champion, is going to be able to launch an attack. It looks like Sam Cardinal's retired from this race, the Canadian driver. Whether he's got some technical problems, I don't know. But either way, for him, it has not worked out at all. And he'll be starting that grand final right from the very back of the grid, unfortunately. Takuma's looking for the run here down into turn 8, just hoping to have a little bit of momentum, maybe trying to set up from the final corner down into turn 1. We've seen that move be attempted a couple times, or hold back and try to use it down into the bus stop. If you're keeping up with Inestrosa, who qualified 4th for this race, not the no-tire strategy, he's all the way back to 8th right now. That has not panned out for him. No, it's a gamble, and it didn't pay off. I mean, look, he's had no points scored so far this season. He's right at the bottom of the order. Has to try something to try and get himself up there. It was a risk, and unfortunately the reward is not there for the taking. Down in 8th position, as the best he can hope for as it stands for now. Meanwhile, here is Miyazono in the slipstream of Kai de Bruyne. He's got the inside line down into T1. Can he make that stick? That'll be brilliant if he can. Oh, Ura's going to walk through it as well. De Bruyne's going to get shoveled to the curb on the outside and loses 2 places in the space of 1 corner. So Miyazono and Ura are through for 3rd and 4th place now, respectively. Ura on the attack against Miyazono. What a fantastic run he's had through the first couple of corners. Miyazono knows that, goes for that defensive line, and here comes De Bruyne ready to try and take profit of it as well through the bus of chicane. There's contact. Ura's onto the curb. De Bruyne goes back through on the inside as well. So Ura goes from attacking to defending to losing places. What an awesome bit of battling there amongst these drivers. They played it as clean as you possibly could there. Paul Ura was trying to stay there, but he just couldn't, and at that point he
couldn't get through the bus stop correctly. You're out of phase, you're out of the line, and that opened up the door for Kai de Bruyne.
Yeah, works really nicely there for Kai de Bruyne, and he lives to fight another day. Let's see whether Jura can launch a retaliation. It's brought Labutale and Sasaki right back into play there here for this one as well. Miyazono is the man on the move there. What have we got? A lap and a half now remaining, so not much time left. At the front of this one, Jose Serrano's built out the advantage, but it's pretty much stabilised at about 1.2 seconds or so over the likes of Kylian Drumont, and subsequently then another further 1.6 seconds. He is in front of Takuma Miyazono, so maybe not a battle for the podium that we're going to see to the end of this one, but you never know. One mistake from Miyazono and it could be right up to play for again.
It was an optimistic move by De Bruyne there through turn 8. It's left him vulnerable here to pull Jura as we go down the front stretches. He tried to do what Miyazono did a lap before. Yes, he's looking to the inside, doesn't quite get there, thinks better of it. Now he'll try to set up for the exit and down towards the bus stop.
That was smart there from Jura. You can see what he was trying to do, just force De Bruyne to break a few metres too late, running a bit wide, compromise his run. It didn't quite pay off for him at the moment, but there's every opportunity for them to try and take profit. Labutale's there lurking in the background as well as Takuma Sasaki. This is the final lap of action, and this is the race that will decide the grid for the grand final. No further action between Sasaki and Miyazono as they came to blows a few laps ago. They kick up grass and dust and dirt on this final lap as they are really beginning to push the limits here.
And it's really De Bruyne just trying to hold off Jura at this point right now. That the third place Miyazono has been able to get just a bit far enough away that I feel like he can hold on to as long as he hits his marks through these last set of corners in this lap. But it's really a battle there for fourth. If Miyazono
No, okay. Oh no.
can get, oh, let's look at the inside. De Bruyne didn't quite get there. Tried everything he can.
Yeah, certainly did. In P5, but again, we're running out of superlatives to describe the run of form that this young man has had. Jose Serrano is on describe the run of form that this young man has had. Jose Serrano is on supreme form in 2025. He's won both of the grand finals and he picks up another sprint race for his troubles as well.
Absolutely the top of his game, and you can see it in every decision making that he has, the speed obviously that he has right now throughout that whole race there. It was just obvious he knew when to sort of hold back and then when to try and strike. There wasn't many optimistic moves, they were decisive moves that went his favor, and then when it was up for offering to go for the win, he was able to drive away from the field, create the gap he needed, run down Inestrosa and set sail.
Yeah, very well done to him. Commiserations though to the likes of Angel Inestrosa and also to Valerio Gallo there as well. Inestrosa tried an alternative strategy, wasn't one that paid off for him, and Gallo, of course, we saw him having an incident into the wall as well. But this is how the race panned out. We saw Kai de Bruyne beginning this one on pole position. He started at the sharp end of the field ahead of Drumont and Jose Serrano. Pretty close and clean affair at the sharp end of this one. We saw Jura making a move on Sasaki in the opening couple of laps. There's a bit of hip and shoulder between those two drivers as they made their way through that hairpin. This was Valerio Gallo's undoing though, as he just took too much curve on the inside of the bus stop, and that saw him go backwards and into the barrier. Then we saw a smattering of pit stops. We missed this one initially, but Inestrosa pitted but didn't change tyres, unlike the rest of the field. It left him at the sharp end of the race with a near 4-second advantage as they started making moves behind. But ultimately, as his tyres wore down, everybody else began to speed up, and it left him very vulnerable in the closing stages.
And Jose Serrano was able to make this decisive pass down to the bus stop, and from this point onward, he just set sail, clicking off lap time from the rest of the field as they all battled it out. As we see here, Miyazono going to the bottom of turn 1, past Kai de Bruyne, and that was a really nice pass. He had to play super defensive here at Pole Jura, and this all boiled up down in the bus stop where they were all together, but Jose Serrano got the win.
Yeah, amazing job from Jose Serrano. Let's go down and catch up with the winner of the sprint race, who will start on pole position for the grand final. He's with Jules.
Yeah, I'm here with Jose Serrano, and who can doubt that 2025 has certainly been your year. But before we get into that, I think everybody here wants to know, like, what was it like driving that car in like a full-on race?
It's super funny. On the chicane is jumping the car, so instead of that, it's incredible to drive the car.
It's actually quite fun. It's not too difficult.
It's funny, yeah.
It's fun.
For me, it's funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, you did all right. I don't know if everyone else would say it's fun. That's not a... But obviously, this year has really been your year. You seem to keep being completely consistent and pulling it out the bag. And you've only got like one more little race in a minute, and then you got 3 for 3. How confident are you feeling?
I'm really confident with myself. I'm relaxed, calm as always. So let's see what happens in Daytona.
Just so casual, just so consistent, and yet so casual. Let's give it up for a big round of applause for Jose Serrano. Honestly, he is, look, he's not even barely sweating. Barely a bead of sweat on your forehead. There you go. And let's throw it now to Tom and Parker.
Cheers, Jules. Yeah, Jose Serrano continues his clean sweep so far in 2025. He wins the sprint race by 1.8 seconds over Kilian and Drummond. Miazono there, he'll line up P3 for that grand final with Kai de Bruyne for company alongside him. Kai de Bruyne probably being a bit disappointed with that one, having started the race in pole position and ending up P4.
Yeah, and I think really the drive to me was Takuma Miyazono to go all the way up to third there. That really great pass into turn 1 was incredible, and it puts him in a great position here for the final. And I just think what he showed there was being able to move his way through the field between strategy and decisive moves on the racetrack, and to get that all-important track position, which every driver will tell you where you start is a huge advantage. It didn't work out for Kai de Bruyne here in the sprint race, but he stays in the top 4. That's within striking distance for the final.
8th on the grid to 3rd of the checkered flag for Takuma Miyazono, and also Thomas Labouchelet. He started last in that race and finished P6 at the end of that one. Phenomenal job indeed from our drivers. Really, really excited for the grand final. Let's get down to Jules, shall we?
Now, as we might have mentioned a couple times, after a 7-year hiatus, we have brought back the GT Awards, which has got to be one of the best competitions I've ever heard of, which is, as a GT fan, getting to get your car in the game. I mean, unbelievable stuff. So, do you want to know who's won? Do you want to know what car you're going to be driving? I thought you might. Hold on. I have an envelope and everything. It's very, very Hollywood. One sec. I need 2 hands. Oh, wait. Do you want to? You could. Okay. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. Come on, louder. This is huge. All right. I can tell you the winner is Big Mike. His car is the 1992 Honda Prelude. Okay. So we got a little bit of info about this, all right? Nice. So Big Mike, he's coming here. We go. He's a journalist who bought his 1992 Honda Prelude 20 years ago before setting about his renovation and mod build. Every bit of the car engine and body is bespoke to Mike's specifications, and it pays homage to the Japanese style with a nod to USA car culture mixed with a little bit of Mike's taste. You guys are going to be driving his car.
Race while you're driving racing car?
That's super cool. Massive congratulations. Let's throw it back to Tom and to Parker.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Jules. What an incredible prize for Big Michael, probably Large Michael as his mother calls him there. Amazing, amazing job. And
That's so cool.
What a phenomenal car. It's one of the work of art.
Oh, beautiful. Every one of those cars out there was amazing. The passion that these individuals have for their cars and tuning them, and creativity they have and what they look like and what they put behind and tuning them is awesome. How cool to have that car immortalized in a video game. It's amazing.
Yeah, incredible. Anyway, as much as I'd love to talk about Honda Prelude all night, more important matters, including this place. Daytona Road Course is the venue for the grand final. This is a circuit you know particularly well, Paul.
Yes, and this particular one was made famous by the Rolex 24, but we're going to be racing some cars that are far faster than anything we've ever seen go around this racetrack here. It's an absolutely awesome track, and what we've got ahead of us with 30 laps and 3 mid-pit stops.
Yeah, you can see racing hard, medium and soft tyres available for the drivers. This is what we reckon the strategy might break down like, but often we see drivers throw caution to the wind and deciding to do their own strategies. They're working it all out on the fly. You've got tyre wear to consider for this one. You've got fuel to consider for that as well. So they're going to have to do a bit of fuel saving over the course of this race. You can see the difference in the performances between the 3 different tyre compounds. 0.6 of a second slower for the mediums, a second of a lap slower for the hards, and they must use each of the tyre compounds in the race.
Yeah, and take everything we say about strategy with a grain of salt. We've not always been correct in the past, so we'll see. But this race car, the Red Bull X 2019, absolutely insane race car, but really designed to be what the human maybe with a G-suit could survive driving. It's absolutely insane to drive this in Gran Turismo because it's just so mind-bogglingly fast. It creates an insane amount of grip, and it really sort of makes you rethink any course you drive it at.
Absolutely. Well, Parker, you had a closer look at this Daytona road course circuit in his Red Bull X2019s earlier on. And I have to say, it's a really interesting
The other commentary is very loud.
And especially turn one, because you're trail braking, you've got camber, it's a bit of a pain to get a car around there, to be honest.
It really is. It's a difficult corner because you come off the banking there at top speed in these. It's almost 200 miles per hour, 320 kilometers an hour, and the track sort of flattens out. Then you go across the banking through some bumps, and you've got to get this car completely slowed up. The left side's as close as you can be to that white line, a little better than I did right here. We'll see the pro drivers do it, but it's definitely a very unique corner for all the reasons you mentioned. Is you control that braking all the way down from over 200 miles an hour or 320 kilometers an hour to roughly 60 miles per hour through the center, and then apply the throttle back on exit where it's really easy to spin the rear tires.
Well, the winner campaign has been going on throughout the entirety of this evening, and Takuma Miyazono, no surprise at all, he always seems to be a fan favourite. He's got 68% of the vote, the lion's share, as one would call it, against Jose Serrano, the man, of course, who is the dominant winner of the World Series events so far this season. I have to say that Takuma Miyazono, I mean, if his form is anything like what we saw in that sprint race, I mean, you'd be hard to bet against him as well.
I feel like we've been hanging out too much, because I was going to say the same exact thing. If he brings anything like we saw in the sprint race, he absolutely has a chance. But that guy in the middle there, Jose Serrano, is absolutely on form and on fire right now. Just doesn't seem to make a single mistake. It's going to take everything Miyazono's got to try and overcome it.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the drivers that perhaps have got less to lose, should we say? Those that are at the back of the grid, maybe their sprint race didn't go so well. I'm thinking of the likes of Valerio Gallo and also Angelo Nestroza after that mistake in strategy. How do you plan that race? How do you play it?
Well, if you're Gallo, though, you know you're in the thick of this points battle right now, coming to this race second in the points. So you've got to sort of think maybe about, hey, I don't know if I can win, but how can I get points? And that might go into his strategy. We've seen all sorts of different strategies in these races. I don't think this race will be any different for him. It might be doing that strategy that he thinks is mine. That's a bit risky, but why not? Why not take the chance, at least to get to the points to help him in the championship?
No doubt about it. Well, we are just moments away from getting the grand final underway for the Nations Cup, so let's get ourselves down to Jules one last time.
Okay, we are but moments away from the grand final of the Nations Cup, round 3. Los Angeles, are you ready? This is going to be a good one. Don't go anywhere. Let's hear it, Los Angeles!
Ahora es que viene lo bueno, papá. Daytona Red Bull 2019. Alright, crazy. Uh-oh, the audio. Technical problems.
So then it all comes down to this. Gran Turismo World Series 3, the Nations Cup about to get underway here in Los Angeles. It has been a long wait for these drivers, and they are sitting in their sim rigs not far away from the time to go racing, and we'll be keen to see how this one is going to get on in these Red Bull X2019s. See the competitors out on the screen.
I'm sorry you were 15.
Ready and lined up on the grid.
You must have been punted, or else your car slipped.
They are going to be lining up here for this one. Of course, these sprint race results reflect where we should be for the grand final. And we'll be over to that in just a few moments' time. A couple of technical problems here in Los Angeles, which just only adds to the tension for the drivers, because things like this do, of course, happen when you're in the racing car. Maybe things don't always go according to plan, and you've got to just roll with the punches.
That's part of being a racing driver, right? You've got to overcome some unexpected consequences, unexpected things that happen, especially with the mechanical component of racing. This is no different here in sim racing, and I think you saw some of the drivers like, hey, get going, because they're in the mode. They're ready to go. They've thought about this. They know exactly how they want to tackle these first few laps, maybe what the strategy is, and the best part for a race car driver is to actually get racing. And that moment of anticipation is the toughest point.
@Dayon-Prol13. Welcome to American Supercars TV.
So far in 2020.
@Dayon-Prol13.
Oye, pero estoy haciendo como 4 cosas a la misma vez.
Check this code, Papa.
In front of Sasaki, De Bruyne and Miyazono are now tied on points, courtesy of De Bruyne getting his first podium last time out at Berlin, killing Drummond, the last of the point scorers there. So you've still got another 5 drivers drivers who are yet to score a point in 2025, and there's only, of course, one round left to do so before the World Finals. So there's still plenty to play for. It's still pretty tight in the standings, but yeah, you'd have to say for the likes of Ankel Stroza and some other drivers who were expected to be on the sharper end of the field, they've got a fair bit of work to do to try and turn their season around.
And if you're Jose Serrano, you're loving what just came out of the sprint race there. With Gallo, who was at the back of that race, and now he knows he'll be starting towards the back right now, so he's got a huge advantage in track position right at the start. Possibly could build up that championship lead right now as we go into this final race. For a guy that's been undefeated this year, he's loving all the things he saw through that sprint race.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Jose Serrano, as we say, he's just been on in imperious form so far in the 2025 season, and we're running out of superlatives to describe his performances. What about Valerio Gallo, though? Is he on the back foot going into this race? You can see him there second in the championship standings, but that sprint race did not go according to plan.
Yeah, I just think he's in a position where he might have to change his thought process to saying, hey, how do I get some points? Just to stop the bleeding a little bit in this. What happened in that sprint race, put him towards the back, he might be thinking, how can I utilize the strategy, the 3 stops we're going to have here with 3 different tires, hard, medium, and soft. What can he do that maybe isn't about winning, but it's just about simply getting in the points to stop that bleeding?
Absolutely, and 30 laps over the course of this circuit as well is going to make things quite interesting. There's a lot of high-speed corners here at the Daytona road course. Not particularly that many heavy braking zones.
No, especially not in this car. The X2019 doesn't slow down. You don't really have to slow down things amazing. It creates insane grip, but you will be drafting as we go to the oval portions of the Daytona road course. Massive draft effect. About within 2 seconds, you're going to start feeling that draft effect, so you'll see them utilizing that, and there's a bit of fuel saving possibility. You can lean off that throttle, keep your speed up because of the draft, and save a bit of fuel, which could help the overall time of the race.
Good job,
absolutely, and you can see there the penalty line as well. So if any drivers do exceed track limits or they have some contact with another driver that could have been avoided, that penalty line, it's at the fastest point on the circuit, and you're just hemorrhaging it all the way down until turn 1.
No, it's a massive penalty to get that there because these cars are approaching 320 kilometers an hour as they go through that banking there.
With the Red Bull car.
You need to make stream starting soon, then that will play before I go live.
Just a few moments to go then, let's get ourselves down to Jules once again as the slightly delayed start to this race and get our crowd hyped up here in Los Angeles.
Well, the gallery said
And
that
then
you
I
weren't
need to
excited
create an
enough
ending.
last time, so we want to hear
yeah,
an even
Arroba
bigger
Traser
cheer for the
1982.
Nations Cup Grand
That's
Final
nice,
Rolling.
here in Los
Hand
Angeles.
pink
Let's
waving.
make some noise!
Let's make some noise. Ba, 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 ba. I do
I
that.
want to, but choosing not to at this time. We're almost working together to try and maximize lap time this time.
Okay, so we have to make one pit stop then in this race. It's mandatory, but you don't...
Vámonos, baby. I just give it one button and just go back.
Arroba _Kroll3R.
We had instincts.
Crash check. Person turquoise waving.
So nice we did it twice.
It's the sound, music. For the Master Jedis in Gran Turismo. Oh, María, qué
12 drivers
perfección.
lining up on the grid, 6 points on offer, and only one can be crowned the winner of World Series 3 in 2025 here in Los Angeles. This is going to be hugely exciting to see what will happen as the drivers are ready to go for the start of this race. Let's work out how they all line up on the grid. The sprint race decided it just a few moments ago, and it sees Jose Serrano, the championship leader, lining up on pole position. Kylian Drumont is alongside him on that front row of the grid.
Arroba Traser 1982.
Quadruple world champion Takuma Miyazono.
Your stream will be on very late for me problem. I will miss it.
Then Paul Ura heads the third row of the grid in 5th place ahead of Thomas Labousle, who started last in the sprint and managed to get to 6th at the checkered flag. He's just in front of Takuma Sasaki and Adriano Carrazza. Next up on the grid, you've got Guy Barbara.
Arroba Black3516.
Leasing
I'm
the
gonna
top
put your
10
link
is
for the
Ankel
swing for
Quem trole
Estrada.
cara
for the
sonriente.
Strategy
whole
cost him very
team.
dear. Valerio Gallo, second in the championship, lines up P11 ahead of this
For
grand
everybody
final,
who's
and
streaming
Samuel
in the
Cardinal
VIP.
P12 as
Don't
well.
worry,
Now,
it'll
we've got a
take
difference
time.
in tyres
Don't
at
do
the
it that
start
fast,
of this
bro.
race. Soft, medium and hards available for the drivers. A lot of the drivers there starting on the medium tyres, but three, Barbara, Inestrosa and Gallo, going for the hards at the sharp end of this race. How does,
We're starting this race.
I think it's exactly what we discussed. It's thinking especially for Valerio Gallo.
He won't be streaming for like a few days.
Having a disastrous sprint race there puts him at the back of the field. He's thinking
the appointment,
maybe not just about winning, but it's just moving himself forward towards the points. You have to do something different, knowing he'll be in a bit of traffic early on and see if this can work to his favor.
Yeah, I imagine the idea, of course, with the
@Kraser1982.
the hard tyres like lava.
All good.
Remember, the low OBS are ready, so you can do that, do all the update while you need it.
@Kraser1982.
No, Streamlab no, Streambox.
I'm not missing anything then.
Streambox, okay?
@_Pro13.
Streambox is gonna be your friend.
Sí, papa.
Do it stop automatically. Without you being racing them, because it's gonna be impossible. It's gonna be impossible. You need Streambox, Streambox to do it.
@_Pro13. Goti. @_Pro13. Got it all already.
Okay, perfect. Try to connect it by yourself. Connect OBS with Streambox.
Con
If
ser
you're gonna do it,
caritas
I
en
have
vivo.
it. That's fine. It's a little bit tricky. Connected. It's supposed to say it's connected with OBS. If you don't say that, it's supposed to have a green light at the right, like it's connected. It say 1 to 1 or 2 by 2. If it says 0,
Good luck to Enrique and Paula.
it does not help you. It's not that hard. It's a little bit tricky. But one time you do it, it stays like that forever. So
it's just sort of a courtesy lift as you go through there, shifting down the gearbox and running as close to the grass and clip the grass actually on the outside of it. But Jose Serrano doing a great job leading this one. A couple of tenths in front of Kylian Drumont. Here though is Takuma Miyazono sitting in the wheel tracks of Kaidenborough. And you've got Paul Ura and Thomas Laboutelet very close behind indeed. And here comes Kylian Drumont side by side. He is now with Jose Serrano to take the lead of the race as we come across the timing line for the first time of asking. He's through and into the lead. He's kicking off behind there as well. You've got Kaidenborough who is side by side with Takuma Miyazono as we come through the first corner. De Bruyne now up and into third place.
And you saw how tight it was. They were 2 by 2 by 2 down into turn 1. You saw the pass there by Drummond around the outside. That's the effect of the draft, and you're going to continually see that throughout this race. Drivers, as long as they stay close enough together through the infield portion, there's so many opportunities to make passes utilizing the draft through the oval portion of the Daytona road course. And that's what every driver's thinking as they go here towards turn 6. How can I get the best run to stay as close as I can and then utilize that draft to make a pass?
Yeah, on board here then with Thomas Laboutelet, so he's made a position up from where he started. He was P6 on the grid, just to remind you. He's now up into 5th position at the expense of Paul Ura. Barbara, Inestrosa and Gallo, they were the 3 outliers. They started this one on the hard compound of tyre, and you wonder how their race is going to play out. We come down then in towards the chicane once more, and it's kind of damage limitation for those 3 drivers in the opening stages of this race here, Parker.
Right, that's really, if you look at Gallo in last right now, utilize those tires. We'll see how long they choose to stay on them. Probably the shortest amount of time possible. Then to get to the mediums and the sauces are on board with Miyazono now. Oh, look to the inside. Now pops to the outside possibly. Didn't quite have the momentum right there. He's choosing to stay behind Laboutelet to the outside right now into 1. That's hugely tough. The track is off camera there. If you get too far to the outside, you sort of fall away from you.
Yeah, Drummond and Serrano were side by side for the race lead at that point there as well. But Laboutelet is throwing the kitchen sink at this one, or at least trying to, on Takuma Miyazono. They come through the first hairpin, but nothing doing for them at the moment. De Bruyne sitting in 3rd position, just keeping his powder dry at the moment. Just doesn't want to let the likes of Drummond and Serrano get away. Subsequently, they want to be a little bit careful about battling against one another, because if they do, it'll drop them right into the clutches of the prevailing field, and they are hungry and ready to pounce.
Yeah, you don't want to be side by side through here in turn 6 onto the banking right now. And I have to wonder if Jose Serrano sort of let Drummond get there just to utilize a little bit of draft. We talked about fuel saving could possibly be a part of this race. They can't quite go the whole way on a tank without a little bit of fuel saving, so that could be some of the thought process there of dropping a second and utilizing a bit
down the order as well. So that's kicked off in the sort of the battle for the podium places there, really. The upshot is it's now Serrano that leads, Drumont in second, and Miyazono is up and into third place. Laboutelet into fourth position, so we've lost one of the competitors from that battle for the podium. And Miyazono and De Bruyne are now under investigation with one another for that collision. I'd love to see a replay because we didn't really call the back end of that crash, and I wonder whether Miyazono was the aggressor in that instance. Through onto the banking we go for the fourth time out of 30, and we've got to keep an eye on the tyre wear for the mediums as well, because of course they're a bit of a halfway house between the hards and the softs. Let's have a look at what happened here to De Bruyne with Laboutelet in the background. There was a bit of contact between himself and Miyazono. How'd you read that one?
So that is a very typical incident at Daytona Road Course, and it's the fact that as you come off of turn one there, you kind of, the track goes back to the left a little bit, so that outside car is put in an awkward position where they have to get left. The inside car doesn't want to give them that space like Miyazono did, and you have that altercation and they come together like you saw. That's very typical of this racetrack. We see it in almost any race you have here. So this is really tight. 2x2x2 down to turn one amongst all these drivers.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. Looking at Stroza with the inside line. I thought he was going to have a tandem lunge to the inside. Sasaki and De Bruyne are also going wing mirror to wing mirror as they made their way through the first corner. I tell you what though, for the likes of Stroza, Gallo and Barbara, this is actually working out quite nicely for them because they're now on the back of some medium shot runners, and it'll just give them the impetus there to try and hold on to the back of them, even though they're on a slower compound of tyre. You can see Stroza pulled alongside Sasaki, but Sasaki with the mediums, it's just great attraction out the corner, nothing that Stroza can do, and himself, Gallo, and also Barbara need to be a bit careful they don't get involved in squabbles amongst one another and let those two drivers get away too much, because it can come back to bite them later on in the race.
And one of the things they're doing there, they love to see them close enough to the infield because that allows them to utilize the draft again through the banked portions and essentially stay closer than they naturally would on just pure lap time with those slower tires.
On board here then with Jose Serrano as we come through the bus stop there. You see how much curve they are
that camera shot.
millimeters away from disaster. And the thing is with these cars, you drove it yesterday, Parker, they are tricky on the limit because all the torque's at the top end of the rev range.
Super tricky there when you get the throttle down. Drumont goes to the outside here. Jose Serrano is able to utilize this pass. We've seen twice from these two. And sometimes this actually can look like battling, but it's almost working together at this racetrack because the draft is so powerful. And when you're in Jose Serrano's position there, you let Drumont do that, then you'll get the toe the next time around through the banking, and vice versa. You'll swap positions lap after lap like we're seeing from those two.
Stroza and Barbara battling might be for the last positions in this race at the moment, but it might come back into their favour later on. You can see them very close to one another. Valerio Gallo again not made too much of an impression on this race, but he's playing the long game here. This is what all of these drivers, Gallo and Stroza and Barbara, are doing. They've started on the hard compound tyre. They've got ugly early, haven't they, really, here, trying to make sure that they've got that tyre out of the way as soon as they possibly can. So they'll be on a quicker set of compounds towards the end of the race, whereas, of course, everybody on the medium tyres, depending on which way they go in terms of the strategy, will have the hard tyre to do at the end of the race.
Where did you come up that turn?
It's something you use in nightclubs in the
That's
UK.
what I thought.
I'm glad that one translated. I'm glad that one translated across the pond. On the brakes they go in towards the chicane. Then look at Miyazono. He's all over the back there of Jose Serrano. And again, they're overtaking one another. They're changing positions, but it's nothing to get too excited about at this particularly early stage of the race, because you know that they're just giving each other racing room. They're not fighting these positions too hard, the ones that are being attacked, and they're just again waiting for the right moment to go, because it's when the pit stops come out that's what nobody knows is going to happen, because even though you're on the medium tyre doesn't mean they're all going to go for the soft tyres in the mid-stint. They might go for the hard tyres, or they might decide to play a different strategy. We have seen drivers doing 2 stops. We've seen some doing 3-stop strategies as well, which is a bit of a road call, I have to say, but sometimes it does pay off.
And what they're close to doing, these front four, is actually getting away from Poyura, who's in 5th by enough of a gap that he wouldn't have the draft anymore. He's just over 2 seconds from the leader, but about a second behind 4th place here. So if they continue to work together, I try to put the left on first.
You do?
Yeah.
I always find it.
Left glove.
I'd be exactly the same actually when I go to racing. To be honest, I'm so slow, it doesn't really make much of a difference anyway. Side by side with Serrano versus Drummond as they change positions once more down the start-finish straight and into turn one. Miyazono, Labouchelet very close to one another behind there as well. You can see Labouchelet again, he's just looking a bit threatening, and Miyazono picks up a penalty there. Wow, that's a penalty for that collision that we saw earlier on with Kyder Bruin.
I think that's the correct call in a lot of respects. You know, he was there, he didn't give him the room. On the exit, he drove into the left rear of De Bruyne and spun him out, and so you get a penalty for that.
Yeah, it's a shame for De Bruyne because he's sort of spoiled his race there, really. I mean, he's on the coattails of the likes of Sasaki, etc., but it's not where he should be relative to the pace that we've seen for him, and that's how different these events can be. You know, last time out in Berlin, he was on for his first podium, and he was absolutely delighted with that after having fought for it for such a long time. And it's sort of hero to zero stuff here, this one as well. Now, for Takuma Miyazono, he's got that penalty, so he's going to drop behind Labouchelet, of course, but it might drop him even behind Paul Europe because they're not too far adrift, and that penalty zone is at the quickest point on this circuit. So we're coming through in towards it now. You'll see the two yellow markers either side of the track, and you lose, of course, that 1 second in terms of the penalty time, but you also lose that time getting back up to speed there as well. So Labouchelet is going to fire past like Miyazono's just stuck the handbrake on.
This is going to be a huge penalty.
Yeah, so he drops down then behind Thomas Labouchelet. And where is Yuri? He's right on his gearbox then, just a tenth of a second behind. Labouchelet's profiting from it. He's up into third place. Our first pit stop takes place. Meanwhile, Inestrosa from 12th and last in this one has pitted from the hard tyres. Now, where does he go in this? Does he go for the mediums? Does he go for the soft compound tyres? And crucially, when's he going to take some fuel on board as well? We're quite early into the race and not really too much point, but this is the moment that cost Miyazono and also De Bruyne as well. And there's the penalty that Miyazono just served.
And you can see there where Miyazono just went to the right at the same point that De Bruyne was going left. It's just a classic collision here, but he was definitely in the wrong, not giving him the racing room he needed.
No doubt about it. Inestrosa then onto the medium compound of tyres for his first of two pit stops at a minimum in this race. So he'll now be on the same tyres as the majority of the field in this one, but of course they'll be significantly fresher than everybody else at this stage in the race as well. You can see that there. 40% of the rear tyres are left pretty much for all of the drivers inside the top 10 that are on the hard compound of tyres, whereas Inestrosa a brand new set of fresh mediums. They're going to feel so lovely compared to the hards he was on.
And you know, in super speedway racing and NASCAR, when you race at Daytona, you want to pit in a pack because you want to utilize the draft. You don't want to be out there by yourself. I think this is very similar, and we'll see many of these drivers try to pit together because they're going faster utilizing that draft than they would be just by themselves. Even if you've got those better tires, you want to have to utilize the draft to turn really fast lap times.
And you can see these drivers at the sharp end of this one here, Parker. Obviously, they're all working together at this point. They're in a race with their shoelaces tied to one another here at this point. But eventually, they're going to have to undo those shoelaces and start fighting. It's still loads of time still left to go in this one.
This is one of those races where you see 12 lead changes, and it's like, well, that sounds awesome, but it's not the full story. They're working together, utilizing those lead changes to have the fastest lap times and not slow each other down.
You can see exactly what it would mean. The checkered flag fell now, though. It'll be another 6 points in his arsenal, and it would give him quite a commanding advantage as we go into the World Finals. And fair play, because he really would deserve it, but there's so much time left to go. And I suppose if you're the likes of
@Caser1982,
how do you play this in terms of your strategy for this race? Because do you follow what Serrano's doing in the hope that he'll keep track position?
I would, personally, just utilizing the draft, being able to follow him, knowing he's the fastest driver here, most likely the winningest driver of the season. You think, if I follow him, and with the draft, you don't know what can happen, what you can pull off in that final stint, so stay as close to him as you can. There's no reason to try something different when you're this close and have the draft in your favor.
Just to give you an idea of the difference in pace between Angel Inestrosa and the sharp end of the field. Last time around it was 1:28.8, which of course wasn't a full flying lap because he was out of the pits. That was an outlap for him over the course of that one. But just to give you an idea of the first sector, he was about a second or so clear of anybody else last time around. So really impressive stuff there for Jose Serrano. And we'll see what it means for him later on. Barbara and Gallo, they managed to extend those hard tyres a little bit later on. They pitched a couple of laps after Angel Inestrosa here, which means their tyres, whichever they go on to, will be a couple of laps newer. So it'd be interesting to see how that works out for them, because we did see that in the Manufacturers' Cup earlier on this evening. I'll spoil the result for you if you haven't caught it. I do implore you to go to do it, because the racing was spectacular, but we saw some drivers pitting early, and ultimately they ended up paying the price for that because they lost track position.
They did, but if you can turn the fast lap times after this, especially on those tires, that's going to help you. The hard part is that these leaders are continuing to work together and utilizing this draft, and so that's just going to make it tougher, even if you're by yourself on better tires, to make up that time. Maybe as I look at some of the lap times, you can get close to their lap times, but to be faster than what you want when you're on those tires, to make up that time and make up some track position, is going to be a really tall task.
Yeah, no doubt about it. On board then we ride here with Thomas Lamousselet with that relatively clear view down towards the first corner. Drumont and Serrano, and again just keeping him honest in this race. Sasaki's picked up a penalty here. You can see that with the flashing red dot next to his name. Not quite sure what that is all about, but something to keep an eye on there for him, presumably because we didn't see anything come up, and he'll be down to track limits when he's coming into the pit lane at the end of this one. So he's the first of the medium shot runners, the drivers who started this race on the medium tyres, I should say, that has pitted then. So let's see how he plays this in terms of that strategy. But you can now see it's gone from what was a three-way fight up to a now five-way fight, because Miyazono and Ura are right in the picture here.
Yeah, that penalty for Miyazono really pulled Ura back up into this front four cars, and now it's sort of a five-car train that leads this race right now, because he was about 2 seconds back from the leader, a second back from fourth, but when Miyazono got his penalty, he was able to utilize the draft with Miyazono to get back to this front pack, and now it's expanded to 5 cars in this lead pack.
Yeah, let's see how these drivers are going to play this one. And as you said, you would imagine it'd be a case of follow the leader, whoever wins first.
I haven't been right very often.
Well, you know, I'm almost never right, to be completely honest with you. Down towards the braking zone we go of that chicane, threading the eye of a needle through there. So Sasaki went from the mediums to the hards then. So if you're the drivers that are up ahead of that, are you going to go and do the same? I suppose that's the risk though, is that you go to the hard tyres and sort of deal with that pain in the middle stage of the race, which then would leave you in the soft tyres at the end of it. But if you did the reverse of that, of course that would leave you vulnerable a bit. So it's so difficult to work out. This is all going to work out. Obviously you've got fuel to consider in this one. Whoever is, might be saving fuel, if you're the likes of Thomas Lamousselet, you're just sitting there in the slipstream, maybe you can do a bit of lift and coasting, save a bit more fuel, save maybe a couple of seconds on the pit stop, which could give you track position after it's all worked out.
I have to think Lamousselet is doing that because I've watched him continually have the chance to go by Jose Serrano here and poke to the inside. He chooses to stay right behind him. See some Karatza on pit road right now, going to the hard tire, and I think that's, for him, Lamousselet there riding, that's definitely his thought process is, I'm in the lead pack, my advantage here would be, how can I make that pit stop the shortest amount, or not have to take much fuel at all by staying here in the draft and saving fuel.
Yeah, more medium shot runners, Karatza and Cardinal going on to the hard compound then in the middle stint of this race. And you can see the drivers at the sharp end of this one there. Rear tyres are now looking pretty second-hand, so you would imagine it's going to be this time around that they're going to be coming into the box. Let's see who decides to dart in. We're coming towards the chicane for the 13th time of asking. Threading it through there.
You can see the throttle trace right there as he got towards the bus stop, just feathering it a little bit before they got to the braking zone, just standing there right behind Drummond.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They're surely going to have to come into the box then at the end of this lap. I think they're just going to be pretty much bound by circumstance.
@Black3516.
Is side by side here.
That guy just ahead of you was a bit dirty then.
Trying to get track position to give him more position on the exit of the corner now. Are they able to follow the same strategy in terms of the tyres? Drumont, Serrano, Lamousselet, Miyazono, De Bruyne, all into the box for this one then, as well as Pol Ura. And if they all go to the hard competent tyre, it'll be almost fair in love and war. It'll be pretty even Stevens. But if someone goes to the soft tyre, plays a bit of a gamble, or maybe takes on some fuel at this stage, I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're just going to follow everybody else's strategy, because though it might give them an advantage now, they'll have to take that pain a little bit later. And indeed, you can see Jose Serrano exiting this one in the lead, but with Lamousselet and Drummond right on his gearbox then, as they all filter out onto the race circuit and make their way through the hairpin for the 14th time after their first pit stop has now taken place.
And that was such a sneaky move by Serrano into pit road, utilizing the draft, got to the outside to be side by side as they hit pit road. That gives him a little bit of advantage as they hit pit road to the line. He gets the lead out of the pits, now back where he wants to be, and on these hard tires we'll see this could potentially be a place where within his pace, could he stretch that gap to the infield to maybe try and get away and break this draft slightly.
Yeah, it's so difficult to break a slipstream Jose Serrano there, just 0.3 of a second the advantage he now has over Thomas Labuschagne, who's ascended himself up into second position after starting this one in 6th place. Samuel Cardinal's also made some good progress in this one. He's into P7 as well in front of Guy Barbara and Valerio Gallo. In Estrosa's where he started, if you remember, he was the first driver to pit in this race. He went for the hard tyres onto the mediums, which is a good strategy in terms of giving him a bit of clean air, a bit of track position. But it might come to pay him in the backside a bit later on, as we see Guy Barbara with Valerio Gallo side by side into the braking zone. Barbara with the advantage then, and with track position now and into 7th place. Gallo and Cardinal slot in behind.
That was a really brave move there by Gallo to the outside. He knew the clear Cardinal on the inside, but stayed there with
They have
Barbara
already
on the
50
inside
laps,
down.
so yeah, it's like
Couldn't quite
like a
make it
40
work 'cause
something
you just
minute.
don't have the grip on the outside.
Serrano
but with
number
these
1.
medium tires, he's showing some great pace as they've tried to move forward from the back of the pack of this race.
Everybody
through
together.
into that right-hander as we ride on board here with Valerio Gallo. You can see the steely face of concentration for the 2021 Nations Cup World Champion. The results have not been particularly forthcoming over the course of this evening here in Los Angeles, but he does still sit second in the championship as it stands for now. Just 3 points adrift of Jose Serrano. Fact there for Guy Barbara at the bottom left-hand side of your screen. He's currently in P7, the leading medium-shot runner in this race. Just to remind you, Barbara Gallo and
Congratulations
all of course started this one on
Crawler.
the hard tyres. They're now on the medium tyres in the middle seat.
And Guy Barbara started driving Gran Turismo at 7 years old. I think I was the same. It was just not this Gran Turismo. It would have been Gran Turismo 3.
Yeah, it's so interesting how everyone's got a story when it comes down to Gran Turismo. You know, talking to some of the audience here, everyone's of course had some experience with the Gran Turismo
is having some bad races.
Boot full of Jose Serrano into the back of him there through turn 1. That's left Drummond with the inside line and a possibility to try and attack as they go side by side into the hairpin. Serrano gets it back and into second position. Ura's there in the background ready to try and take profit as well as Sakuma Miyazono. But now it is Labuschagne that leads for the first time of asking in this race.
And you can tell as we get past halfway here, things getting slightly more aggressive at this time.
Serrano,
right there, that move down into turn 1 with Serrano getting the back
under
of
investigation.
Drummond trying to get to the inside. He tried a defensive move to hold him off as these 5 cars have condensed back together here. I think for Serrano, he thought maybe if he could get to the lead, harder tires, maybe they'd race out of the pits a little bit, could get a bit of a gap, but absolutely not the case. He's now firmly in this pack.
It's a bit of a shame that these leading runners did not go for an alternate strategy. I'd love to have seen somebody just bolt a set of soft tyres on in the middle stint for it and just see if it works out. I suppose there's a lot to lose in those circumstances. You know, track position at Drummond over the curb, lost time, and that sends Ura into the back of him there as well. He subsequently loses a place to Takuma Miyazono.
That was really sketchy, very close to losing. This car is so finicky, it's such on a knife edge at times. It's very reactive, but if you get those big sides, they're hard to hold on to. Drummond did a great job through the Le Mans chicane, holding on to that car, but loses a ton of time.
Yeah, really well done there for Kylian Drummond, but as you say, a shame there for him as a result of that. He's now down into 5th position. He's got a fair bit of work to do to catch up to the back of Miyazono and of Pol Ura. And look at that, he's just put a bit of daylight between Serrano and Labuschagne. Only about 7 or 8 tenths of a second or so, but just enough for them to not have to worry in their mirrors immediately behind. I don't think that means the top 2 are going to start attacking one another, but I wonder if they might be able to use that, get a bit of impetus, start working together now to build out a cushion over the likes of Miyazono, Ura and Drummond.
Yeah, they enjoyed seeing that from Drummond there with that check up into Pol Ura, and it slowed up enough that Miyazono was able to go by there, give them just this little bit of gap, so they're starting to think at these points, maybe we can get a gap, but you just know if you don't make it happen through the infield, that draft will condense you all back together. As Jose Serrano there with a bit of a lead over Labuschagne. They're not quite drafting the way we saw earlier between him and Drummond.
Yeah, he's starting to pull the pin now a bit, isn't he, here? Jose Serrano, and I wonder if that could prove to be a good move, because if he's able to get a bit of an advantage and a bit of track position, that would be a very welcome result. And I'd say his track position in terms of just, again, not having to worry about the immediacy of what's going on behind you in your mirrors. But I suppose the converse of that is if you start beginning to push, it means you're going to start needing to save fuel, and of course he's going to be expending more fuel because he hasn't got the slipstream like all of the other drivers stuck in that train behind. Karatsa just picked up a penalty, by the way. I think he's just served that one, and presumably that must have been for track limits because we didn't see anything come up on the screen. Been quite an anonymous race so far for Adriano Karatsa. De Bruyn and Sasaki under investigation for a collision there as well, so we'll pick the bones out of what happened there, but the upshot is De Bruyn is now down and into 10th position. Sasaki is plumb last by 4 seconds, so clearly something has happened there to the Japanese driver. It's not worked out at all for him.
And you think for Serrano and Laboulle, they thought maybe they could get away. I'm starting to see that opportunity decrease right here as Miyazono gets back. Paul Ura getting up there as well, and so I just think they were in that zone of maybe potentially doing such a thing, but it's starting to look like it's going to condense back together like we've seen majority of these race amongst these 5 cars being so in a very tight pack.
So put me in the cockpit of these cars at the moment here then, Parker, because obviously we're at a bit of a quieter phase of the race. You know, in terms of the on-track action, they're not exactly dive-bombing each other at every corner. If you're Thomas Laboulle, Takuma Miyazono, etc., you're sitting behind the drivers in the lead of this race. What's going through your mind? How are you planning your sort of final third?
I think at this time, you're obviously assessing your competitors. Where do you think they're better than you? Where you think that you could work and improve, but a little bit, and also knowing when are they going to make that first move to get on those soft tires? When does that happen? Do you follow them? Do you try to do something different? Most likely you want to just follow the leader to get on those softs immediately, not let them get away. And so this portion of the race is just a bit of assessing at this time as you watch Laboulle go to the lead over Jose Serrano. That same pass we see multiple times, and you're just trying to set yourself in position where you feel like you can react to that pit stop, put those softs on, and be in a position to hopefully strike in that final stint.
I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? Obviously, at other circuits where the slipstream maybe isn't so prominent, De Bruyn picks up a 1-second penalty for the incident with Takuma Sasaki, by the way, so he was clearly deemed as the aggressor. We didn't see exactly what happened, but yeah, just going back to that thought. So I suppose if you're the likes of, you know, Kylian Drumont, for example, you're at the back of this train at the moment. I mean, if you try and do the undercut and stick a set of soft tyres on before everybody else, sure, it might give you a bit of track position. Maybe you come out in clean air during your pit stop, and it gives you that track position to be able to take advantage when everybody else makes their pit stop. But the problem is, it'll leave you so vulnerable at the end of the race because the slipstream is so powerful at this circuit. It's just not worth that gamble.
Yeah, the only way to avoid the slipstream or to try to combat it is just to be really good to the infield, right? And that's just typical of Daytona Road Course. No matter what you're racing, that's always the case. You try to do all the hard work to the infield to get away, to not allow the driver behind to have the easy work of utilizing the draft through the banking sections, but it's just such a tall task, and if you go earlier onto those softs and put yourself at a grip deficit, you're most likely not going to be able to hold them off down through the oval portions.
Side by side here with Serrano versus Laboulle. Laboulle was leading across the line. Serrano now back in front by the time we get down in towards T1. Look at Valerio Gallo, who's making a great ascension through the field. He's closed the deficit down to these hard shod runners, and he's really making hay whilst the sun shines. It's exactly what he needs to do, because those medium tyres are going to start to come towards the end of their useful shelf life a bit sooner than these hard tyres, and he's got, of course, a pace advantage of about 0.6, 0.7 of a second or so, and he's really taking profit of it here, is Valerio Gallo. He's made his way up through the field, up into 5th position. And he needs to do that, really, because if he wants track position, this is exactly how to do it while the field is all closed up.
This has been an awesome drive by him from the back of the pack, using an alternate strategy. Getting on those mediums.
Opening the door here, Valerio Gallo is going to get a bit messy here as we come in towards the hairpin bend. Drumont's ready to try and pick his pocket there as well. Gallo's in the middle of a bit of a sandwich here, and he might come off second best, but manages to get himself now alongside Drumont for the exit of the corner. Serrano bails out of that battle as we come and flick it through the left-hander. Gallo's going to have the inside line in the grip under braking, gets himself through and into 4th place. That was an amazing bit of driving from all of those concerned in the first sector, because it looked like it could have got pretty ugly that that one.
And it put them all 3 wide in 2 consecutive corners, and Serrano was the big loser of all this, being on the outside there of turn 3, the international horseshoe. There's just no grip, especially if you're forced to the 3rd groove right there. He couldn't get accelerating, falls all the way back to 6, and has really been at the front 2 positions most of this race. He has serious work ahead of him.
Yeah, amazing job from all of those drivers, and for Valerio Gallo,
Oh my God,
he says he plays for fun, which helps him not get overloaded with training. I've known Valerio for quite a long time now, and he is one of the most calm, cool and collected characters in the Gran Turismo World Series, and also one of those...
Está bueno, pero it's not that great. It's not that great. Ok, vamos a VIP. I don't see a VIP here. Vamos a ver si... Dark Horse, baby.
@Craser1982.
Dime la Crash, ¿qué pasó, papu? Here we go, we start 13th position. It's gonna be roughy like the last time. Let's see.
@Black3516.
Ahora sí, vamos, acceleration.
Good luck,
vamos.
Plaka.
We need it. Absolutely. Little traffic right there. No! Well, that's fine. We're not that far. Damn it. Try to overtake this. Damn, it's a big contact. What happened? Who is Joss? Mataron a Joss ahí. Just is fast, so they're probably coming back. They're gonna be so mad. I don't know who pushed them. Okay, very close to number 13 position, all rated. Let's go to the penalty, Mr. Hall. We're gonna be share the track. That is magic. He changed the livery. The last time they have a livery is gold and white. I told you. Joss is mad. And Joss is fast driver. I can't. No defense? Oh my god, man. Side by side. We're going in the outside. We're doing it. Vámonos. We're going back to the 12th position. ART Talavera R7, the next. Come on, it's not that bad. Come on. We're dropping a little bit, but they have sleep, so I don't think it's that bad. Oh no. It's not bad. I take that. Oh no! Oh, horrible! What a lot of jumping. We have a magic super close to us, 0.4. That put me nervous. Yalla, how much penalty they give it to them? These people are everybody together. fastest lap is going to be for Balaines, 37.8. That is super good. With magic. Magic again? Oh! Oh! 0.9. Vamos. Hey, brother, take it easy. In that sector he getting like 0.400. using it. Finally, we're in the sleep. Oh my god. The Red Mali versus BSDR2 side by side is straight line lap 10. You're gonna be jumping in this fight too. Vámonos. Now he took me forever to get in position 10. They have penalty Ledesma. That maybe can be a penalty for PSVR2, but they have 0.7, almost 0.8. Penalties only 5. I don't know if I can be able to grab them. Maybe yes, I don't know.
@Craser1982. I'm glad you got position 10, Bo Enrique Bo.
Yeah, these are really hard. It's like racing with good guys.
@Black3516. Que pare carita sonriendo.
We are at 9 already. Uy, uy, uy. We want a position back. No. They are doing me a little bit of wind tunnel. But maybe it's a penalty for PSVR2. Oh no. one position. Diver Racing have it. Congratulations to Martin, Lator Lizard, Lino Prank Sticks, and Fear No Year top 5. We can be in the fight. We start way too low, and I try to do my best qualifying. Fourth position gain it. Okay, bro, but he take me forever. I feel I am in GTWS like that. It's a congratulations. Fear No Year. Oh, yeah. Vamos.
@Black3516. Anats, para Good Race Plaka.
Hey, it's what it is, man.
@Cracer1982. Position 9. Good race, congrats Enrique on a nice race.
It's good. It's good fighting. Let me can we race? It's already 11. Probably 2 more. Bro, I don't know why she turned off the AC. Like, no, it's cold outside. It's not cold outside yet. Mamma mia. Alright, vámonos. Okay, we have number 1 position PSVR2, Dive Racing, Marvin CR, Rios, and Ledesma, top 5. We still, woo! Hell, bro, I gonna be losing my DR today. Hey, we go. No more GOAT version. That's fine. I'm a Rios. Oh, Rios is one of the fastest one. It's top 4. I don't see also Fear. No, yeah, with 37.7 and it still be 10. So people are rocking here. This is gonna be crazy. Come on, Sin, I believe in you. You can do this. This sector is crazy when it's busy. Oh, apparently some contact in there, or I don't know, Magic and Tremblay.
@Black3516. Good luck, Plaka. Cara
Thank you, sir.
sonriente.
I need it. Hey! No! We crossed the line too! No! Here we go. Oh, I followed them, bro. We lose that one. Alright, Talavera have penalty too, but we're gonna be suffering more. Maybe we can keep the position. It's 0.9 versus Talavera. Maybe, I don't know. Oh yeah, we survived. 1.1. Another pen fear. I just get one. Vámonos. Válgame Dios. There is a lot of traffic at the front. We can get them. Oh, mira. Holy moly, they bad, really bad. Fiat GT 10 and 11. Come on, push. Mira, kissy bumping, loving it. Politics. Let's move your ass. Fear New Year! Holy moly! Holy moly. Damn. The war zone. It's a war zone. I think they don't like fear no year. The war zone right now. Vamos, fear. Kill this guy. I like this. It's looking kind of spicy. Yeah, a little fighting, rubber the cars. Way too close, oh my gosh. Whoa, dive bombing! Dive bombing! Holy, what happened? Somebody have damage, probably Talavera. Had to retire, but at least no penalty. That's great. Oof.
@Black3516.
Dale tapay, cara. Dale tapay. Loving it. I just like the chase coming here. This guy are extremely fast. fear no cheer. Oh, they're gonna be at the worst part. Yeah, probably have damage. Yeah. Oh. Get scared, be close to these guys. I don't think it's good for me. Without watch out, it's crazy. Another heat to fear no year. Talavera con lo suave, papi, que va en volanta. Nene. Mi padre santo. Magic. Qué cabrón. Qué cabrón. Qué cabrón. No. Defend. Porque viene el Altima ese de la tensa volando bajito. Penalty, who cares? Oh sure. Damn it. Oh. No, oh, poor guy. Penalty. Let me try. I hate the penalty. Oh well, it's what it is. I think this is the last race of the stream. I probably jumping in, but I don't know. I just tired of the lights. Take care, enjoy the rest of the night, your friend Mr. PlakaPlum. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow we go again with the camera, and I hope we do better than today. See you, bye.